It's 4 a.m. and my flight leaves in 2.5 hours, so I still have to take a shower and finish packing and load my car up, but I just can't seem to leave my sweet Milo girl. But today's the day. I'm so excited. Just remembered I'm supposed to get a vlogging kit delivered last night. Alright, well, this isn't going to be the best setup because I'm driving, but it is about 5 a.m. in the morning, Saturday, March 4th, and today I am flying to California. And so my flight leaves in about an hour and a half, but thankfully I kind of have it down to a T. I mean, not to brag, but I've just traveled so much that I kind of know when I can get to the airport and still be okay. So anyways, I am in the process of moving to California. I have already lived in California once, Southern California. It was back in 2017. I was a travel nurse and I was there for about 8 months, and that kind of tested the waters for me. I just wanted to see if California could potentially be home for me, and it turned out that I fell in love with it. And when my contract ended out there, I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay out in California, and that was that. But I could not find a permanent job when my contract ended, and so I had to come back home, and I accepted a position back home as a school nurse. And so that's been about 6 years ago. Every year I've, wrestled with, is this the year I move back? Is this the year I move back? I've applied to a job almost every year since I got back in 2017. And for whatever reason, it's just never panned out. And so I've stayed here. And, looking back in hindsight, I'm very thankful for the time that I've been back here. And I know it's the Lord's doing. And so back in December, I went on that would be December of 2022. I went on a trip to California, just a normal trip. I mean, every year since 2017, I go to California like sometimes 3 to 4 times a year because I just love it that much. I get to see all my friends out there. And so it's just become like my go-to little getaway. So in December, I went on my little getaway trip, and there was just something about that trip where it just clicked inside of me of, it's time. Like every year I wonder if it's gonna be the year that I move back and call California home. And just something about that trip, I knew internally that like, this is it. Like 2023 is gonna be the year that this happens. And that scared me to death. And so then I was just in my head about what that looked like, because I had just accepted like my dream school nurse position here in North Texas. I mean, literally everything about being in North Texas was finally lined up, and I was kind of prepared to give up on coming out to California, calling California home, and just settling in North Texas. I spent all of January just really wrestling that out and fasting, praying, seeking counsel. And after the 31 days in January, I just knew, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. My hope essentially for this trip, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in prayer in a few different cities that I've narrowed down to. I've kind of narrowed down to about 3 to 4 cities in Southern California that I would feel very comfortable calling home, at least during my initial transition out there. So I'll be spending time in each of those cities these next few days, just praying, driving around, making sure the apartments that I found online are in decent neighborhoods, and just getting a feel for what it would be like to live in that city. And that, oh my goodness, y'all, that is so exciting to me. Just the adventurous part of it and the unknown of it is so exciting. It's also bittersweet because then my heart is aching thinking about leaving all my family, and the best friends that I've made here. So it's gonna be a bittersweet week. My voice is going. I'm not far from the airport, so I will check back with you guys when I look less absolutely disgusting and repulsive. But I just wanted to take a minute to fill you guys in on the importance of this trip and just how excited I am for this trip. After I got off the plane, I went straight into looking at apartments. And like this one, I found some really beautiful apartments, but none of them felt right. They were either way too far away from everything that I love and from my friends, which was the case for this one, or I just did not like the area at all, or it just didn't have that feeling. So I went on a hike at this apartment and I just refocused on, okay, what are my top priorities in finding a place to live? And I realized that this one and the other ones, they just weren't right. I felt a little bit defeated, but I knew I needed to keep searching. But I felt like I'd had enough tours for the day, so I decided to end the day on the apartment search and go back to my Airbnb and get ready for my interview. Then I woke up this morning to a message that my interview had been canceled, which really stinks because I have my notes all written that I was gonna take. I had all day today scheduled around this interview, and it was for a job that I was super excited about. I had already done a phone interview that went great, and I'm not gonna lie, I emotionally was really connected to this possible position. My guess is it has something to do with the fact that I'm not going to be here until this summer. I cannot accept a position, or start a position, I should say, until this summer. So, I understand if jobs are needing a position to be filled now, 4 months is a long time to wait and hold a position for me. So I've prepared myself that I'm mostly going to get no's right now because it is a little bit early in the game on their end. However, on my end, I feel like time is ticking. I am approaching summer, my very short window of moving out here, and I don't want to wait till the very last minute to start job searching, to start apartment hunting. So, it's a little bit of a bummer that this interview fell through, but I'm just trusting the process. I'm trusting that the right job will happen when it's supposed to happen, how it's supposed to happen. And I'm just going to make the most and just going to spend some extra time in each of these cities that I've narrowed down to, spend some time in prayer over these cities. And what I'm most excited about, actually that sounds really bad that I'm about to say this after I just said that I'm going to spend time in prayer, but today is National Oreo Day. And so if you know me at all, if you follow me on Instagram, you know how obsessed I am with the Ruby's Diner in California. They have the absolute best cookies and cream milkshake. So I'm gonna go celebrate. I'm just celebrating that I am here in California, that overall I feel at peace with this decision to move out here. I feel reassurance to move out here. I was a little nervous that when I flew out here with the agenda of preparing to move, that California would kind of lose its appeal or its magic or the connection that I have with this place and with these people. It's actually been the opposite, which I'm so thankful for. So in my opinion, that's a reason to celebrate, and I'm gonna go celebrate at Ruby's and the beach and with friends today. So I changed out of my interview clothes and into my Ruby's clothes and headed to the very first Ruby's diner that I ever discovered back in 2017, located in Laguna Beach. But up until this point, I had never been allowed up on the rooftop. It was always closed, but that changed today. They let me eat on the rooftop by myself, which was incredible. And of course, I had the beautiful ocean view. After I ate at Ruby's, I went across the street to the Montage Resort, which is one of my favorite places to go and just relax, soak up the scenery, and to think. And that's exactly what I did. I spent time praying, thinking, watching the dolphins, and just refocusing on my desire to find the apartment and the city that I wanted to live in. And I started to think about an area that I kept driving by called Quail Canyon. It was close by, and I thought, you know what, let me just see if there are apartments around that area. And sure enough, I drove through the canyon, and guys, I found the apartment. That's right. This is the apartment located in the very canyon that I kept driving by. Look how cute it is. It was so light and airy and open, and it had incredible storage space. It came with a garage and appliances, but the best part was that literally in the backyard, basically, were the trails and the canyons that I had driven by so many times in the last 2 days of this trip. Another perk of Quail Canyon is that it's right between my two favorite beaches, the first being Laguna Beach. I mean, this beach is just a stunner. Between the cliffs, then you have the Channel Islands in the background. You also have these absolutely adorable little shops and eateries to explore. It's just one of my favorite places to be. So on the other side of the canyon is my other favorite beach, Newport Beach, specifically Balboa Peninsula, because guys, on this peninsula is the Balboa Pier, and on the Balboa Pier is another Ruby's Diner, but not just any Ruby's Diner. This is the OG, the first established Ruby's Diner back in the 80s. All the way at the end of the pier, surrounded by the ocean. I mean, look at her. She is just absolutely beautiful. Then you have the amazing Newport views around you. But there's one more Ruby's that I needed to stop by. Let's see if we can see Brea Ruby's Diner in here. Oh yeah, here we go.
What's your name? What's your name?
Kaylee.
Kaylee.
Yeah.
Okay, she wants to show you something.
Oh my goodness! Did you make them? That's insane.
You see Ruby?
Yeah.
And then my Oreo milkshake. That's my favorite.
That's so cool.
Isn't that crazy? 2 Rubies in that.
Oh my god, look at
So
that.
one of my good friends has the other pair. There's only 2 ever made, and then they're retired, so no one else can have them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Wow, that's
So
nice.
fun. Okay, but where were we? Oh yeah, back to Newport Beach. One of my favorite things to do is to rent a bicycle and ride all the way to the end of the peninsula, and you get this view, the sailboats, the palm trees. But you see that little cove way over there? Yeah, that is called Pirates Cove, and up until this trip, I had never gone across the peninsula to check it out. But after seeing the movie Jesus Revolution, which by the way was filmed right here, I just knew I had to go see it. I mean, it was the perfect spot to just spend time with God, to pray over this place, to pray for my own revival and my own spiritual journey in coming out to California. but it was also really cool to explore the caves. And now I understand why they call it Pirates Cove. I mean, can't you just envision a couple of pirates pulling in on their pirate ship, coming into this little cave, camping, and oh man, it's actually disgusting, so I kind of don't want to imagine that. But look at the amazing view of Newport right outside of the cove. It was the perfect last stop on my trip before I had to hop in the car and drive to the airport. It was a beautiful drive, the sun was setting, and it just gave me some extra time to really think about all of the things that I love about California. I mean, aside from all of the deep spiritual connections that I have to this place and to the people, there's also things like I want to learn how to surf. And I want to learn how to surf like this guy and do a headstand on my surfboard just like that. I want to be outside playing beach volleyball. I want to be outdoors by the ocean, by the mountains, going on hikes. I want to connect with people and nature, and even with this little guy right here. Hey, buddy? No? Okay, well, I tried. And while I may not be certain about exactly when I'm moving out here or when I will land a job, there's one thing that I know for certain, and that is that very, very soon I will finally get to call this beautiful place of California my home. And as much as I cannot wait for that day to come, for now, you can find me back in Texas soaking up every last possible moment that I can with my family, with my friends, and probably taking a few good long naps with Mila girl here because, whoo, moving is exhausting. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel and join me in becoming the local.